tens of thousands of people took to the streets of Germany's capital on Sunday. Demonstrators were out in force to rally against the far-right AfD. The gathering against the Alternative for Germany comes ahead of legislative elections. It also comes days after the head of the Christian Democrats broke a long-held taboo in the country and joined forces with the AfD to push through an anti-immigration bill.
Chanting "We are the firewall" and holding slogans like "Shame on you, CDU," at least 160,000 people took to the streets of Berlin on Sunday, protesting the Conservative Party's collaboration with the far right.
I think we should move away from the right again.
The protests continued until dusk.
We see examples all over the world of conservative parties that are slipping, that want to please the radical right instead of standing up for their democratic foundations. And we fear that we are currently seeing this happening in the CDU in Germany. This is a huge danger.
Tensions started brewing last week when the leader of the CDU party, Friedrich Merz, tried to push an anti-immigration motion in the Bundestag with the help of votes from the far-right AfD party. Although rejected on Friday, the joint vote shattered post-war Germany's unwritten rule of never cooperating with the far right. At an election rally on Sunday, Merz addressed the protests.
Demonstrating is the right of every citizen in our country. The right to demonstrate is one of the fundamental rights of our constitution. However, this does not include acts of violence, neither against people nor against property.
The Conservative leader is the front-runner in Germany's upcoming federal election, polling at 30%, followed by the AfD with around 20%. Merz has promised to go all in on immigration, but analysts say that flirting with the far right could alienate Merz from his more moderate political base.
We can now bring in Armin Steinbach, Jean Monnet Professor of Law and Economics at HEC University in Paris. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program today. Now, the AfD is poised to get around 20% of the vote in the upcoming elections in Germany. I know that given Germany's past, it's understandable why people were out on the streets in protest in Berlin last night. But how long can this taboo of not getting into the bed with the AfD go on for, given that they're so popular?
We are definitely in a crucial situation, in a highly polarized situation. Everybody in the society, if you look at the polls, thinks that there must be a turnaround policy on asylum policies, but nobody really wants the mainstream parties to collaborate with them. So on the one side, action must be taken on a topic, on a policy field, which is the topic field for the populist parties. But on the other side, nobody wants to collaborate. So it's really a dilemma.
So is this why the CDU and the CSU have vowed to crack down on irregular migrants? Are they being pragmatic by making the issue that is the rallying cry for the AfD their own issue?
We should not forget that we are 3 weeks before a snap election. So every party tries to distinguish itself from the other political opponents. And the way chosen by the CDU, by its leader Friedrich Merz, is to demonstrate action and to signal to the citizens that he gives a guarantee on a turnaround on asylum policy. And that's why this degree of polarization that we see at the very moment.
Elon Musk has come out in strong support of the AfD. How dangerous is this?
This is very dangerous. This has been seen very skeptical by the mainstream party. Obviously, it gives a huge boost to the AfD, which now feels to be acknowledged by the US, by the richest men of the world. But many other parties in Germany see this as a clear interference, an interference of the richest men in the world with democracy in other countries. So there's a high degree of resistance to Elon Musk.
Olaf Scholz has floated the possibility that the CDU could join forces with the AfD in the aftermath of the election and govern that way. Do you think that's a possibility, or is he's just calling out, just worrying essentially the country?
At this point, I don't think that there's a likely event that would occur after the election. What the CDU has been doing, they have this soft collaboration with the decisions last week taken in the parliament being supported by the AfD, but clearly not officially collaborating with them. So everybody in the CDU explicitly rules out that there would be any coalition or formal agreement with the AfD. And I think at this point, this is a credible statement.
Here in France, for instance, we have, as you know, the far-right National Rally Party. They're not in government, yet they need to support the government. They need to prop up the government in some way. We have potentially a motion of no confidence. If the far right votes for it, they can have the power to bring down this government. Do you think that the AfD is going to have that power in the future in Germany, that level of power?
In Germany, there's no such motion of no confidence like in France. In Germany, in order to launch a motion of no confidence, you must constructively propose a replacement of the government. So it's much more difficult in Germany to bring a motion of no confidence. However, there is clearly a parallel. The firewall that is discussed in Germany against the AfD is a kind of the Republican front that is discussed in France against the Rassemblement National. And you see the normalization strategy both pursued by the Rassemblement National as well as the AfD. So you see clearly the populist parties becoming stronger with a strong headwind by the mainstream parties.
Okay, Armin Steinbach, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Welcome.